Okay, now once we have completed calculating the EET and LET for all the events from event number 1 until event number 9, the next thing is to determine the critical path. Okay, so to answer the next questions after you have completed calculating the EET and LET, the answers are all from your diagram. Okay, so the answers are very straightforward. Critical path. Critical path here refers to the events. Okay, so we are referring to the events. Critical here means important. Okay, important. So that is the meaning of critical. Okay, so how to determine the critical path? You search the events in your diagram that has the same number of EET and LET. Okay, why the same number of EET and LET? We call it as the critical path or critical event, because of with the same number of EET and LET, it shows that the event cannot be delayed. Event yang mempunyai EET dan LET yang sama number dia, maksudnya event tu tak boleh ditangguhkan. Okay, for example, we look at event number 1 here. Number 1 here says the EET is 0. Earliest event time. Bilakah masa kita nak mula projek ni, event number 1 ni paling awal? It says 0. 0 means now. Masa paling awal untuk mulakan event number 1 adalah sekarang. Down here is LET. LET means latest event time. Latest event time means bilakah masa paling lewat kita boleh mulakan sesuatu event. So event number 1 here says masa paling lewat kita patut mulakan event number 1 is now as well. So paling cepat mulakan sekarang, paling lewat untuk mulakan pun sekarang. So it shows that this event is very critical. We cannot delay at all. Okay, cepat ataupun lambat kita kena mulakan sekarang. Same goes to event number 5. The EET here says earliest event time for event number 5 here is 8. 8 here means 8 week 8 . Bilakah masa paling awal untuk kita mulakan event number 5? Adalah minggu ke-8. LET also says week 8. Bilakah masa paling lewat untuk kita mulakan event number 5? Minggu ke-8. Paling cepat kita boleh mulakan event number 5 minggu ke-8. Paling lewat kita boleh mulakan event number 5 juga minggu ke-8. Meaning that event number 5 here cannot be delayed. Cepat ataupun lambat mestilah dibuat dalam minggu ke-8. It is different from event number 2. Event number 2 here says the EET is 6. Masa paling awal kita boleh mulakan event number 2 adalah week ke-6. Masa paling cepat untuk kita mulakan event number 2, week ke-6. LET here says week 17. Masa paling lewat kita boleh mulakan event number 2 adalah week 17. So paling cepat kalau kita nak mulakan event number 2 is week 6. But if we want to delay or postpone, we can still postpone event number 2 until week number 17, meaning that event number 2 here can be delayed up to week 17. So event number 2 is not critical. Okay, so for the answer for critical path, search for the events that have the same EET and LET. So we start with definitely event number 1 here. So event number 1 is the first event that has the same EET and LET. Then the second event is event number 5, week 8 and week 8, EET and LET. The next one is week 7, event number 7, EET and LET week 14. Then event number 8, EET and LET week 24, and event number 9, week 36 and week 36. So the critical path starts from event number 1, going to event number 5, going to event number 7, going to event number 8, and lastly going to event number 9. You must make sure that your critical path has a long continuous line. Critical path ini mestilah line yang berterusan. You cannot suddenly sambung kat sini and so on. It must have one starting point continuously until you find one ending point. So the critical path here, the answer is you just take the event number 1, number 5, number 7, number 8, and number 9. So this is the answer for critical path. Okay, the next one is critical activities. Okay, how to determine the critical activities? Okay, critical activities here. Critical activities here, you just take whatever activities that are on the critical path. Activity yang berada di atas critical path, those are the critical activities. You have highlighted your critical path over here, then you just take the critical activities. First is F, second is H, third one is J, and the fourth one is K. So your critical activities, the answer is very straightforward: F, H, J, and also K. Okay, the answers are very straightforward, but you have to make sure that your diagram and your calculation is correct. And lastly is, okay, determine the completion time of the project. Bilakah masa projek ni akan tamat? So determine the completion time of the project. It is very simple and straightforward. Whatever you have here in your last note at your last event, that number, that will be the answer for your completion time. So in this case, the completion time is 36 weeks. So this project will be completed in 36 weeks. Okay, whatever you have over here, provided that your calculation is correct lah. Okay, when your calculation is correct, then your answer for here is correct. There is another way to determine the completion time as well. You just take the duration of your critical activities. Okay, F, H, J, and K. You just take the duration. F, the duration is 8 plus H 6 plus J 10 and plus K 12. It gives you also 36 weeks. So there are two ways to determine the project completion time.